Welcome to the Dealmaker Catalyst, and I'm your host, Jason Seward, and we are here today with none other than the godfather of Richmond real estate, Mr. Jim Ingersoll. How you doing, man?
I am doing really good. I'm excited to do this, and we've got 10 shows in the books already.
Yep.
And so many really good ones coming up in the next few weeks. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I am too, Jim. And first of all, I've told you this a million times. I've said it on this show, but I appreciate you giving trust and faith in me that I can host this and do as good as I can with interviewing these folks. And I think we've put together so far a fantastic run of shows, and it's materializing just like we envisioned. Every show is almost a masterclass in a lot of ways of a specific niche or an idea or strategy in real estate. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted folks to sit down with a pen and pad, fill up a page of notes, and then have something actionable they can take into their day, their week, their month ahead. So,
yeah, I love it. And, you mentioned masterclass, and the first one that comes to mind is Brandon Lindsey.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, my gosh. If you want to learn about new construction, developing the entire process from A to Z, from dirt to framing to roof, to selling this back home and the financing, it is a must-watch episode multiple times. Did you enjoy doing that with Brandon?
I did, and I learned a lot. And it's funny, like Brandon and I, since that episode, and I've always, for the last couple of years, gotten pretty close to Brandon, but since that episode, we've kept the conversation moving. He's helping us a lot in developing a new construction lending product because of the knowledge he's given me through the new construction process. And so, this shows like that are going to help and have so many, it's just a spider web, it's going to have so many tentacles that come out and help so many folks. And yeah, when I think of a masterclass, I joked with Brandon when we got done with that one. I said, man, realistically, we could probably package this up and sell it as a course.
I know. Well, he's got an amazing TRP community too. And so I just want to throw that out there. We're both in it. Brandon, every guest is a friend of mine, but Brandon is he's a personal friend. You know what I mean? Like I see him at church on Sundays with his beautiful wife and his daughter. And, we text through the week and hang out. And it's just the way he's built the TRP community. I just love it. And so anytime I can promote Brandon Lindsey, I'm all in.
I'm going to say one more thing about Brandon. And we didn't intend, we didn't talk beforehand for this to be an advertisement for Brandon, but he deserves it because
he does.
I'm going to give you a real example in the audience of just how genuine Brandon is. To save time, I'm not going to get into all the details, but I approached him a couple months ago about some things we were working on in lending. And this has happened on 2 occasions now. His first response was not what's in it for me, as in him. It is, I need to figure out how this can best help my TRP community. And he wasn't thinking dollar signs. He wasn't thinking anything. He was thinking, how can this collectively affect my community the best, even if I get nothing out of it? And that's where he leads from, and that's genuine. That's the Hallberg record. Nobody saw that publicly, and that's how he leads.
Yeah, he leads from his heart, and he builds an amazing community. I tell you, the one I get a lot of feedback on, Jason, is Michael Zuber.
Yeah.
Zubes is, he spoke at Dealmaker a long time ago. I didn't know it was his first time ever speaking publicly. It was at Dealmaker. He's come twice. And we're going to have him back next March because I've heard such great feedback on his podcast. People like the way that he created a crystal clear buy box. That's the number one feedback I hear on his podcast. But did you enjoy doing that?
Loved it. He was so clear and concise with everything he walked through. And there was not any, you hear it all. There was no fluff. It was just, do this, do this, do this. And he just sequentially walked through his rules, basically, the 10 rules. And I wrote them all down, and as he's going through them, and a lot of people listening too, some of them are so obvious, these should be rules, but nobody's practicing them, all together. And the way he laid them out with just the things to do, focus on the one things, find your buy box, do consistently compound your efforts over time and you will get results. And that was one. And I have followed Michael for years. I actually got turned on to him by one of our mutual friends, Greg Dickerson. And and then he'll finally meet Michael and sit down and have that conversation. It was an honor for me as well. So
I love it. And, I've heard such great things, but I just want to give a shout out to Brian Burnett in Jackson, Mississippi for highlighting his podcast that Zoobs did with us. It was so good. And Brian, I really appreciate your sharing your thoughts on his buy box and how it's helping you and the people in the Dealmaker Jackson community. By the way, Brian's going to be a great guest someday when he goes on.
Absolutely.
He's going to be great. But really, everybody who's been leaving reviews, we just want to say thank you. It helps us so much expand our reach and help us share the core values of Dealmaker that we're really grateful. And everyone who's been leaving a lot of reviews lately on Apple last week, thank you so much. And we got some pretty cool and fun promos coming up, so watch for more of those.
Yeah, and while we're on reviews, I think it's important because, I mean, it's pretty common. Most people in our space, or really in general, have now been turned on to podcasts, right? They listen to podcasts, and what do you hear every podcast host say in the beginning, middle, and end of the podcast? Like, leave a review, give us 5 stars, and all that. And I think it's important because you hear it so much, it's almost redundant, and it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But I wanted to take a little time to articulate what that actually does for a podcast. So it kind of at a high level, every time, let's use Apple, for example, because that's probably the biggest platform. We're on all of them, but let's use Apple. Every time that they see a show get a new review, a new 5 stars, it's feeding into their system, their algorithm, telling them, oh, people are interested in this. So what do? The more of that they see, their system, it's not a human being doing it, it's their algorithms, are pushing this show in front of more eyeballs. The more eyeballs see it, it's a compounding effect. The more eyeballs see it, the more reviews. And if we can continue that compounding, it touches more and more people, which impacts more and more people, what is the name of the show? Dealmaker
Catalyst.
Jim, define the word catalyst.
I mean, that's how you get your start. You guys know what a catalytic converter is. Let's go.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do here. Jim, I can very directly say that Jim and I are not making any money off this podcast. This takes time and it takes energy and effort. If anything, it's costing us money to produce it and get it going. We do not care about that. That is not the intent. The intent is to help people. Not me, not Jim, but to bring on guests to help people. And where you can help as an audience is take 10 seconds to just hit that 5-star button, share it with some friends to get it in front of more people, to know you played a role in helping more people. So that I just want to get on that soapbox for a minute, if you didn't mind, Jim.
Well, it's so important. And, that leads me to thinking about our next guest, Wendy Coles, because Wendy really started investing before Dealmaker by listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast. Of course, you just had David Greene on too, at Dealmaker in Hampton, which was fun. But, Wendy's show was amazing. Of course, I've had the fortunate fun of traveling all over the world with Wendy with Share the Love. But what a great story. And it's so inspiring to hear how she got her start. She was freezing cold in Buffalo, single mom, teen on the run, felon, like that whole thing. Like if you missed that show, you got to go back and listen.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 shows you need to listen to with Wendy. Obviously, the one she did on here, and then the one she did on my Burning the Ships podcast, which still to this day is our most downloaded show. I don't know where we're at in downloads, but it's tens of thousands.
Yeah, I call her 50K Wendy. That's your nickname. Hey, I've got a lot of nicknames. She's getting them now.
Yeah, that was an example of one like hitting the algorithms, and because it resonated with people, and so many people liked it and shared it. And that just helps promote it. But it's a story that should hit the algorithm. 50,000 people should hear her story. Some of them walked away and probably had a life-changing moment. And then when they hear her dive more into, like when she came on this show, which go back and listen to that. But she talked like really specifically about networking and getting out of her comfort zone and being an introvert and going into all these rooms. And now she's speaking on stages, and I love her story. I agree with you.
I do too. And you keep talking about Dealmaker and Hampton Roads when I called the introverts my people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that. I'm sort of a recovered introvert now, but so many people are introverts, and you are our people. Like, we love you guys in our communities across the United States. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for feeling like I want Dealmaker to be a safe space for introverts, Jason.
Yeah.
And for everybody, really. But
Yeah.
everybody's invited in. It's a warm community.
Yep. And you've curated it to be just that. And I mean, everybody obviously feels it. I benefit from it just by the relationships that I've gotten through it, and getting to know you as well. But I mean, you mentioned David Greene. He was at Dealmaker Hampton Roads. We were fortunate enough to have sit down and record a podcast with him, and it's going to be another good one. It was much like Michael Zuber, very direct. He covered, I think he covered 10 things as well, 10 ways to make money right now. There's no way you're going to listen to that episode and not walk away with something actionable to do. So I just love having conversations like that.
Then you had Tony Marino on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've known all your guests. Every guest that's been on, I know. But when I listen, I pick up things. You have the ability as a podcast host to pull things out of people. And I learned things about people I thought I knew.
Yeah.
Like with Tony Marino, man, what an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Coming from Huntsville, Alabama, leading Dealmaker Huntsville, of course, engineer like I was. Man, what a hardworking dude, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And hardworking guy. He clearly, like, he leads with faith and family, right? And he I wanted him to talk about all the real estate stuff and all that. He could not get fast enough to all the charitable things, right? And that's just where his heart is. And so it's just, but those are the people you want to hear from, right? That they're leading from the right place. And yeah, just another great example. We had Allie Murphy on, which most people know Allie and seen her on stage several times. Another fantastic episode.
I had lunch with Allie last week. It was so good. But Allie, again, I like the way that she drove down in that show on your why. Because we all just default and say, we're doing all this stuff for our family.
Prove it.
But is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really benefiting your family if you're not there? Jason, I've been watching your social media. You're there, you show up. You're a great dad, a loving husband. It does no good to make all the money in the world and come home to an empty house.
Nope. Yeah, that's it is my why. I used to say the same thing. Oh, my why is my family and my kids. I was not proving that with my actions. And so it's been a big shift for me to kind of get out of that corporate grind and into what I'm doing now. But Allie, she has a unique way of she's so personable, she's so engaging, but when she breaks it down, she's able to do so that resonates with anybody, right? And she's blunt with it. You say this is your why, prove it. Look at your calendar, look at your actions, what you're doing. Are you really living to what you're saying your why is? So I love that message.
When she speaks at Dealmaker, I love it because her energy is off the hook.
Right.
So a couple years ago, right?
She's an introvert as well. She really having to work hard to get that energy out, right? And I love that,
And so she did this session a couple years ago. All I do is win all the time.
Yeah.
And it was such a great show. It was such a great session at Dealmaker. And this year she did the comeback.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, I loved the comeback too. And if any of our listeners missed those and you want those two shows of Allie Murphy, send me an email, jim@elitedealmakers.com. I'm going to send them to you. They're that good. So it was great. I love so many of our guests. We all had a different starting point, right? So the first house I lived in, Jason, was $20,000 house in Jamestown, New York. And there were times where I struggled to make that monthly payment, believe it or not. So like, but then you got like Wendy Coles. She was homeless in Buffalo, New York, not far from my hometown. And but then you draw other things out like Eddie Speed. Like I've known Eddie a long time. I didn't know like his start was in a mobile home.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And Eddie, I mean, he's the note king, right? Everybody that is involved in that niche. I mean, he's the godfather.
Completely he transformed it
Yeah.
with vision and leadership like few people can.
Yeah. And Eddie, you know, it was that one was difficult in the sense
Any
that I wanted to pull out a lot of details of like how to buy notes and sell them. And he did such a good job articulating like this is not something we can break down in an hour. So he kept it very high level
yeah,
and really encouraged folks. 'Cause he has all the resources in his network. Like
he did.
reach out to him and do. He's got several different levels of training and courses. But I thought Eddie clearly like we just scratched the surface of what he has to offer, and I hope the takeaway for a lot of people was to continue a conversation with Eddie and his team to learn more about that.
So Eddie has spoken multiple times to Dealmaker as well, and well, I'll give the same thing. If you want those shows, just email me, jim@elitedealmakers.com. But Eddie Speed, and I will say also my partner, Danielle Clayman, the two of them, when they finish speaking Dealmaker, they are like surrounded.
Rock stars.
And Eddie in particular, just goes.
Yeah.
Like he stays in the room multiple days and interacts
Yep.
with everybody who comes out. And it's really a beautiful thing. The guy gets completely surrounded. I would say as a recovering introvert, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But come up
He
for a breath.
he's got the energy to work through it. I mean, he does a great job. So you mentioned Daniil. We need to get him. I had him on Burning the Ships a couple months ago, but we need to get him on here to kind of really break down.
Hey, that is a great show. And we need to put the link maybe in the show notes because it's one of my favorites that you've done. I listen to both podcasts.
Yeah, awesome.
But
I appreciate that. That one is, yeah, I've tried to steer that one more towards the mindset, and we don't really get into the weeds of real estate. Like for example, I just had, which we'll have him on later in the year, but Adrian Smood is this week's guest on Burning the Ships, and that was we barely talked about real estate, you know. So, but yeah,
so good. And so like I was listening to the Major this week,
yeah,
and he starts off the podcast saying it all starts with mindset.
yeah,
It's like how he like in the first 2 minutes he mentions that. And I knew Major's dad for a long time, but I didn't, and I just remember this one thing from Major's dad since I've known him. Like this is 2 generations for me now, and his dad would always tell me, buy 10 houses, hold them 10 years, and you'll have financial freedom. And you think about it, it's pretty simple. You don't necessarily need 100 doors.
right,
If you just buy 10 and hold them through a cycle,
yeah,
like just be gritty enough to persevere because some years are hard and some are easy. You
so
get
you're
there. But the way he started, like then he moved like back into his parents' house, had $1,500 and just started making deals. He started doing Lonnie deals. He mentioned finding you guys talk about books a lot, which I love. I've read so many, but Lonnie Scruggs' book, Deals on Wheels, is a great book for mobile homes. I've done some of those myself, and he talked about like blowing the dust off this book, you know, and then like reading it, and then going to a mobile home park and starting to buy houses,
yeah,
and getting the money he put down, he got back on the down payment, so he could like rinse and repeat, and then exploded.
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, and not Major. I mean, he told a couple neat stories, but one of them that just, I mean, I'm still laughing about it every time I think about it. Where he sat down with that guy and for years, and he was like, I'm just trying to buy a crabbing boat or clam boat, and the guy. It took Major 4 years to get to that guy's why, and as soon as you did. Major was creative enough to say, "Okay, let me help you work through that," and he essentially, you need to go hear the episode if you haven't already, but he was able to trade a clam boat for the property, essentially. So
it's an amazing story. And if you guys didn't catch that, you need to go back and listen. And by the way, thanks to everybody who shares these. We really appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
And then who do we have? We had David Phelps.
Yeah.
He's been a good friend of mine for so long.
Yeah.
He helped me start Dealmaker. I mean, really, the foundation, when I was thinking about it, trying to figure it out, he was starting Freedom Founders, which is an awesome mastermind. Masterminds are so important. And so he was starting Freedom Founders, and I was thinking about doing these events, and he gave me all kinds of little tips on little things to like tweak with Dealmaker. And then he came here, and we did a weekend on invest freedom without banks. That's what it was called. It was all about buying houses without needing banks. Mm-hmm. And we did that together, and that launched into eventually became Dealmaker.
Yeah. What I enjoyed about David the most is, or a couple things. Early on, a lot of the guests that you have been lining up, I do not know them. I've never met them. Literally, have never had a conversation. So the first time that I'm getting to speak with them is when we start right here recording.
I know.
So it's a fun challenge for me because I'm legitimately asking curious questions that I don't know the answer to. So with David, one thing that stood out was at this point in his life, he doesn't need to do any of this. He's fine. He has been such a thoughtful and strategic planner when it comes to his finances. He was a dentist, made plenty of money there, segued into big investments, things like that. He could literally disappear and ride off into the sunset. Jim, you could probably do the same thing. And the difference between what I love about him and you and folks that are in that season of life, you choose to do this because now it's about building legacy through impact. And David is doing that through his mastermind, his books, everything he's doing, and you're building the same thing. Yeah. And I just,
he's certainly let me go. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Jason, I wrote 2 books, and I'm not going to write anymore. I'm working on an ebook right now on super prompts, but I'm just going to keep doing these little short ebooks. 6 to 8 pages is so much easier than a book published on Amazon.
Yeah.
But he's done like 7 of them.
Yeah. But that's my point is he doesn't have to, and he's just another example of somebody that is doing this literally with the sole focus of helping as many people as he can. That's it. I mean, that fires me up. And then let's see, I want to touch on a few more that we've had. I think Tom Olson. So Tom was another one. I didn't know her.
He gets excited and goes on a roll, doesn't he?
All of energy. I too have a lot of energy. So when I got to talking to Tom, I said, okay, I just got to give him space and let him go. But what I found interesting about Tom is he has vertically integrated every part of his business. And the one thing that stood out the most with me is he's all over the place. He's got a lot going on, but he is the definition of what a leader is, right? You cannot build all of these companies and have all of these P&Ls coming in every month that you're responsible for without leading a team to handle all that. And that's what stood out most to me about Tom.
That's really neat. And I like the way he talked about knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
Because, people that are flipping and doing other things, it's like tidal waves of money. Like a huge amount of money will come in, but then it like washes out before they even know what happens.
Yep.
And when he talked about knowing your numbers, and by the way, David Richter used to work with Tom. And of course, he's got his own gig, doing nothing but profit first, of course.
I didn't know that. I had David on my other podcast. We need to get him on this one also. Yeah.
Oh, there's a bunch of folks from that Indiana group down there. Patty Bain's another. Yeah. There's quite a few. So it's pretty neat. David Richter's another. Of course, David worked with Rich London a little while also, which was amazing. But yeah, what a fun episode. You can pick up so much. You can catch Tom's excitement.
Yep, absolutely. I want to make sure, because I know we've had 10 so far. We touched on Wendy. I think we've touched them all. Yeah, we have. So
let me ask this. Going out to our listeners, you guys are why we do this. You're the hero of the Dealmaker story. It isn't Jason and I and all these guests. Like, let us know what sort of resonated in these first 10. Post it to the Dealmaker Catalyst community Facebook group, or reach out to me via email, text, whatever it is, or Jason as well. And let us know who you'd love to have on. Like, if you could pick one guest in the next 6 months, who would you guys want to hear?
Yeah, and most likely with with Jim's network and my network, I mean we it what 6 degrees of separation, right?
Oh, it is.
It's only a few degrees with our networks and stuff.
I'm not saying we could have Elon Musk on, but
Right, right. Hey, I like a good challenge, so but we want to get folks that not this is the same approach I've taken for 3 years on my other podcast. I don't care about their fame. I don't care about their following or anything like that. I care about the influence that they get on here and articulate an idea that resonates with somebody. And does that have the potential to change somebody's life? If the answer is yes, make a recommendation, introduce us to them, and we'd love to have them on here. So, yeah.
yes. So we got a lot of exciting guests coming up.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I've listened to all the shows, Jason, except my own. I guess I'm listening to myself. It's just a thing. So,
Well, I have always had kind of a block about listening to myself. But I don't I will not listen to any Burning the Ships podcast. I've just done so many. I get
I gotta
say
say,
the same stuff over and over. I don't want to hear it anymore. But I have started the last, I think, 3 or 4 episodes. I've gone back and listened to this just because I want to revisit. I mean, like I said, a lot of times it's the first time I'm talking to these people, and they're actually sharing stuff that I can take away and apply to my business or my life. And so I want to, instead of like during the interview, I'm staying focused on them. If I go back and listen, I can make a page of notes too to apply to my own situation and share with others. So,
yeah. So, as our listeners, let us know. Do you want to talk more about furnished rentals, multifamily, mobile home parks, self-directed IRAs? Like, what is that burning question that you have in an area that, flipping, buying rentals, duplexes? What is it?
I think one thing I thought about this over the weekend, and I mean it's everybody's talking about it publicly now, but the one that gets highlighted is Brandon Turner's situation. But a lot of syndicators are going through this right now. It's a storm they're going through. I think I want you and I can figure out like who the best guest to have on to kind of that is in that world that can speak to it and maybe educate some folks on some do's and don'ts, some lessons learned through.
It would be Anna Kelly.
Okay, yeah, well, make the intro. Let's get her on here. Sure. Yep. So I've got
She's
you
been the syndicator,
well.
and she's invested, as an LP and as a sponsor. I
Yeah,
think that's a nice mix. She's been on a lot with Zuber, and I think she'd be a great one for that. But man,
yeah.
that shocked a lot of people. But there's more of this to come.
It's yes, it's so nuanced too. I mean, the instinct is let's just throw rocks at the operator and whatnot, sponsors. But I mean, it is a very nuanced. It's a it gets highlighted and it gets so much attention because there's a lot of zeros. There's a lot of zeros and a lot of money being lost. But at the same time, there's lessons to be learned and lessons to be carried forward because a lot of these drowning properties are going to come back to market and there's going to be opportunity to buy them. So learn from the lessons to be learned from the ones that have gone down and structure these deals the right way moving forward. And I'm always big on let's learn through all the mess and the mistakes that have happened, even if you're the one that made the mistake. So, yep.
I agree. Some good things to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
You
So Jim,
want to talk about the messy stuff and the good stuff.
exactly right. 100%. Because if we only talk about the good stuff, we're not being true to what this world really is about in real estate because it is not always pretty. We need to hear the ugly stories and there's plenty of them. I've got them. You've got them. It's close. And now we can reflect back on them with a smile because we know that we've learned through the hard stories. But going through them, like a lot of people are right now, it's not fun. It's not exciting.
This whole thing's not like snap your fingers and get rich quick.
Nope. And I mean, some people hit the lottery and find some kind of niche where that happens, but it is so rare. It's lightning, basically striking. So, so Jim, like you mentioned, we got a bunch of guests upcoming. So just keep a lookout. I mean, we're still going to release these every Thursday. I will say for some of the listeners, you may have noticed a glitch 2 Thursdays ago. We had a technical issue with Major Hillard's podcast, and we had to pull it, and then we re-put it out, I think, last week. So occasionally we can't handle technology when it throws curveballs at us. So we had to, but the intent is to put one out every Thursday. So that's our plan moving forward.
You got to be nimble and flexible and all that good stuff. I think it'll be fine. No big deal there. And I like this week's because it's the Dealmaker Live with Leon Johnson.
Yep.
Talking about peace and freedom. And I've been listening to all of the sessions from Dealmaker recently because I can't stay in the room during Dealmaker.
Right.
And Leon's is really special, the way he talked about peace and freedom. So it's going to be a great show coming up. It was fun to do it live. Challenging, but fun.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to ask you while we got still an audience listening, but you have one of the best newsletters and email lists. I mean, that go out. It's valuable. It's not something that's just spammy at all. How can people get on that list?
Well, you can email me.
Okay.
I have a link with the landing page, but I'll just tell you, just send me an email is fine. Say hello. I want to hear from our listeners anyways, Jason.
Yeah.
But Jim@EliteDealmakers.com, and I'll sign you up. I want to hear from our listeners.
Yeah.
It's a more manual way, but it's a lot more personal.
It is. And I love, I mean, again, your newsletters, is part educational, is part providing resources like this podcast, like these videos you're speaking of. And your YouTube channel, yes, it has this podcast. It's got so many other resources on there as well.
A lot out there.
Yeah. So I encourage everybody to subscribe to that as well. So, Jim, I don't know that I could talk to you all day long, but I don't know that
I'll do that sometime soon. But thanks, Jason. You're doing an awesome job hosting this, and I'm very grateful. I know our entire community is. We're learning more about each other, and it's helping us build that relationship, which is so important to all of us. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate the listeners, the feedback. Every episode I've gotten a message or two from somebody highlighting something they got from it. And that always, or text or something. And as the one trying to steer these conversations, I'm not providing any value. I'm just trying to give people a platform to talk and teach and educate and motivate. And I take that job serious. So when I get feedback that something someone said because of one of my questions resonated with you, it fills me up. And so, like Jim said, whether it's to him, to me, both of us, let us know what you like. Let us know what you want to see in the future or hear in the future. And we're going to do our best to accommodate that for you. So, yep.
That's yet to come.
Yep, Jim, I appreciate you. That'll wrap up another Dealmaker Catalyst, and we'll talk to you guys next time. That wraps up this episode of the Dealmaker Catalyst. If you want to keep learning from elite operators and plug into a national community that lives this stuff every day, check out Dealmaker Catalyst. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's serious about leveling up. And we'll see you on the next Dealmaker Catalyst.